It's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me, people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is living in the new world with an whole soul.
Good morning, everyone. Lots going on as usual. Today is September 20th, 2023, and it is the day of the Million Man March for Children against gender ideology, against an overreaching boards of education, and overreaching everybody else. And the powers that be have called in tanks and mounted units, and they've been seen, and people have been sending me this stuff. The mounted units were seen in Ottawa from Toronto, and the tanks were seen in Toronto. Crazy. Tanks, well, maybe I'm misspeaking. The tweet says tanks. Looking at it, it didn't look like a tank to me, but it's certainly a military vehicle. So just to be very clear on that. So there's lots going on with that. People are gearing up for the protest. There's lots of rhetoric flying around, and it's interesting that honestly, a whole bunch of cities, a whole bunch of unions, a whole bunch of other powers that be, institutions, etc., people in positions of power in British Columbia and all across Canada, although I haven't seen anything out east. I haven't seen anything in the maritime way, but almost all across Canada, I've seen everybody coming out and saying, I can't believe this anti-LGBT protest is going ahead. And they're misrepresenting what the Million Man March is, or the Million Person March is, or whatever it is. And so in misrepresenting it, they construct a straw man. This is what a strongman argument is. They construct the straw man. They say this is anti-LGBT. And then they say that's antithetical to Canadians and to Canada, and we can't let this happen, this anti-LGBT thing. When really, when you dig into it, it is not anti-LGBT. It is just anti-teaching a fact as, or not a fact as fact in school. It's teaching an ideology in school, and people are sick of it, and they're protesting against it. So in misrepresenting it, they're trying to take control of how it's being talked about, and lying to people in order to get people on the union side, which is just unbelievable. UK passes an online safety bill while the country sleeps. I'll show you that. The India story continues to explode. There's lots and lots of very interesting things. That's our second story after the Million Man March today. City of Hamilton, City of Kitchener, and many more. Oh, that's the institutions. Those cities are coming out against the Million Man March. Polyev calls for more facts about the India situation, and they added $3 billion to the national debt. What do you think that does to inflation? Probably nothing, right? We're spending $3 billion on another country's electricity production, something or other, to allow them to make green energy. Yeah, right. I know, right? Unbelievable stuff. Lots to get to, so let's get to it. First, we're starting at the Million Man March. And Barry, sorry, I forgot that wrong, says, we are getting ready. Here's our signs. And it says, we go to school to learn English, math, and science. It seems pretty benign. Seems like a regular Canadian protest like I've seen in the past, right? But to read the newspapers and to see what's going on, you would be correct to think that the powers that be are responding in a very, very surreal way. It's an overreaction similar to Scully's barbecue being open during the pandemic. Don't you know there are rules, sir? And the Freedom Convoy, right? People were saying all sorts of things that were absolutely not true. People showed up with flags to discredit the convoy, even though the convoy had upside down Canada flags and F. Trudeau flags all over the place, and kids were there, and nobody seemed to be upset by those things. And the flag that got everybody upset was the Confederate flag, which was obviously planted with an obviously meant to be person who had bad intentions. He was meaning to go there. He was meaning to be photographed. They were meaning to blame it on the convoy when that wasn't true. So now, this time they're ready. They don't want this protest to happen. They've made all sorts of intimidating and very, very concerning threats around what this looks like. They're trying to equate this with hate speech, and we have anti-hate speech laws in Canada. So I feel like they're going to try and use a legal argument to take this down after the fact, whatever happens, okay? I hope I'm wrong about that, but I think that they're going to try that. Here is somebody taking a picture or a recording video of a tank. I guess this is a tank. It looks tanky to me, although, see, it's not a tread. Tanks have treads, but this one has wheels. Maybe they just put on the city wheels for the tank, right? I don't know, but maybe it's not a tank. Here we go.
Tanks riding through the streets of Toronto last night. Ay, you ain't never had the fast investigation. You ain't never had the bad one to date you. You a bad bitch, daddy got spank you. My nigga fresh out.
Okay, so I mean, that's interesting. Could that have something to do with the freedom, or not the Freedom Convoy, the coming protest, today's Million Man March? Here are the Toronto police, and they are, Daisy Media says, we spotted Toronto police public order units, the riot police, on Ottawa streets this morning. This afternoon, we found TPS horses. So there you go.
That one there, number 3 on the left, that's the new guy.
Well, the horses are back. Looks like Toronto.
Number 2 left is the new guy, number 2 on the right is the new guy. And,
Interesting.
They got at least 2 new riders. I haven't seen the number 4 guy on the right yet.
So a lot of very interesting things happening. Zach says, good luck to everyone marching. Stay peaceful. Do not respond to communist agitators. Expose them to the watching audience. People will see who they really are. This is how we win. And when Million March for kids, Million March for children, Million March Canada. Okay, so there you go. Here's Andrea Horvath, and she is responding to this. She says, my office is aware of the rally taking place tomorrow in Hamilton. See my statement here. This is Andrea Horvath's statement. She says, my office is aware of the rally taking place tomorrow in Hamilton. With anti-alphabet soup hate incidents on the rise, not just in our city, but around the country, I'm extremely concerned for the well-being of the alphabet soup community members, especially our young people. While our charter protects people's right to protest, the promotion of hateful rhetoric that shames, denies, and erases members of our community will never be welcome or tolerated here in this city. As mayor, as a Hamiltonian, as a mother, and as a human being, I stand against hate in all its forms. Has she seen her kid's Instagram channel? To the Hamilton alphabet soup community, you are deserving of the space you take up in this world. What a weird thing to say to somebody. If somebody said that to me, I would say, what are you talking about? Anyway, you are deserving of the space you take up in this world, and you are worthy of the same respect, dignity, privacy, and safety afforded to every other member of this city. Today, tomorrow, and every day hereafter, my office stands with you in solidarity. Is she talking about the people living in 10 cities across Hamilton? You deserve that kind of respect, LGBT alphabet soup community. Like, honestly. And I think that it's really interesting, the idea that she can say your protest is protected by charter, but that doesn't mean you're allowed to be hateful, and hateful rhetoric that shames or denies or erases members of the community won't be welcome or tolerated here in the city. So if your protest falls into her definition of that, then she will shut it down. I don't think that's in good faith. Here's the City of Kitchener. City of Kitchener's statement on the Million March for Children. And here's the details. Hold on a second. I didn't pull it up. It's virtually the same rhetoric as Andrea Horvath used. While the city recognizes people's charter protected right to organize and protest in public spaces, Kitchener City Council stands by our alphabet soup community members, especially queer youth, who may be strongly impacted by these demonstrations. We believe all residents have the right to live in safety, but be true to themselves and live free of harassment and hate. Other than like the white people that they openly hate. The promotion of anti-alphabet soup hatred and violence has no place in our community and will not be tolerated. What does that mean? No member of our community should ever feel targeted because of their gender identity or sexual orientation, race, religion, nationality, age, or background. Security, bylaw, and police would be present during the demonstration to ensure the safe environment for all. Right. I wonder if they'll be armed, right? They're allowed to have guns to ensure safety, but you're not. Carisi is the BC Human Rights Commissioner, and she says, as BC's Human Rights Commissioner, I'm disturbed by the news of hate-fueled marches planned for September 20th. Do you see how this is no longer a protest against gender ideology being taught in schools? This is now a hate-filled protest that is hate-filled and hateful, right? It is reimagining in order to apply their rules to this protest. Honestly, that's the only thing I can conclude from this. Peaceful demonstration is an important tool to protect democracy and generate debate, but I want to be very clear, the human rights of LGBT alphabet soup people are not up for debate. Denying the very existence of trans and gender diverse people, including calls to erase trans and gender and alphabet soup people from our province's curricula is hate. The hate should have no place in our community or in our schools. It's not hate. If you say that cutting off somebody's penis does not make them into a woman, that's not hateful, that's factual. So it's very, very interesting how much they're using this term hate, because that's going to be their legal foundation of their response to this. I promise. I promise. I hope I'm wrong. She continues, as a parent, I plead with those who think they're protecting children. Erasing LGBT alphabet soup people from our curricula will not change your child's identity, but it will make schools less safe. To all young people, I say you have rights and you matter. I stand with you with pride. These people are very, very indoctrinated. Back to her. Now is the time to take action to address the campaigns of misinformation and organized hate that give rise to marches like these. Hate is not the unsolvable issue that it may first appear to be. These people are insane. In March, my office released results of our public inquiry into hate, including 12 recommendations to take transformative action. Today, I have issued a letter calling on Premier Eby to show how these recommendations are being urgently implemented. When we stand together against anti-trans hate, we stand together against all hate. So if you cut off somebody's penis and they decide they're a woman, and then you point out the fact that they're just a man with a cut off penis, they're not a woman, that's hate all of a sudden, not a fact. I think it's a fact. I mean, I condemn these rallies for their attempt to erase and marginalize trans and LGBTQ, blah, 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 people in our schools, in our communities across our province. There is no space for hate. People who are adults and want to live a cross-sex life, I have no problem with them doing whatever they want in the privacy of their own home. If they go to the mall dressed up as a woman and they're a man, I don't have a problem with that. If they lie to people, I have a problem with it. If they try to tell people that cutting my penis off, or if they try to tell me or my children or something like that, cutting your penis off will change your gender. And changing your gender makes you part of the LGBT rainbow group. And you should take anti-puberty hormones and puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones and all the rest of this. I have a problem with that. And these adults are purposely misunderstanding what this is about in order to levy their argument of hate, in order to apply their foundation of the hate is not tolerated here. So now you're not protesting, you're a hateful mob, basically. That's what's happening here, okay? And it's happening everywhere. Here's Olivia Chow, Mayor of Toronto. She says, we stand against all forms of discrimination, hatred, and bigotry, and for the safety and well-being of all of our young people. Some wish to target our schools and libraries to spread hate. We know these must be spaces that welcome everyone, especially students, and her statement is, Toronto is a caring, welcoming city. Everyone, including our alphabet soup neighbors and youth, belong here. While some seek to create division and pit us against each other, we know how to build a caring and safe city. We must be inclusive and reject hate. We are stronger together. And again, it's recasting any opposition to this as hatred. OSSTF, Peel Teachers, and it's not a blue check mark, but I think that this is an official account, says, tomorrow's anti-alphabet soup groups are planning a nationwide events to protest teaching. At least this is actually talking about what's happening. Teaching alphabet soup content in schools under the guise of protecting children. We stand in solidarity with the alphabet soup people and everyone who opposes hate in all its forms. Wah wah, right? Like, I mean, jeepers creepers. Every man and his dog is losing their mind on this whole thing, on this march happening at all. And they're misrepresenting what it's about. And I think that they would not be above stickering their own doors. So, okay, get this. If you burn down a church, that is understandable within the context of what's going on, right? Justin Trudeau said, and the entire House of Commons kind of nodded along saying, oh yes. Mm-hmm. And if you sticker a CUPE door because CUPE is trying to backdoor groom your children, that's a police investigation. Canadian Independent is reporting union buildings in London, Ontario were plastered with hands off our kids stickers and police are now investigating. Several unions were caught in a leaked Zoom meeting planning a counter-protest and discussing how to disrupt a Canada-wide protest dubbed 1 Million March for Children, which the organizers say aims to fight against sexually explicit content and gender ideology in the classroom and in schools. Here is Rob Primo, and he's, I guess he's a YouTuber too, and he's put together this thread. I think it's worthwhile because he outlines the unions and all of the big players that were at this leaked meeting. And I think you can even, there's a list of them here, and I think you can even still see the meeting, but they're probably trying to suppress that. But here's Rob Primo. I think this is worth watching. Here we go.
I'm sure most of you are aware by now that there's been a meeting that's been leaked and made available to everyone that has come out of a big meeting that was set up via Zoom. There was a bunch of organizations and unions that were in this meeting. What they were doing is they were organizing a counter protest to a protest that people are putting on to march for children. In this meeting was the Ontario Federation of Labour, the Ontario Public Service Union, CUPE Retirees Union, the Communist Party of Canada, Elementary Teachers Federation of Ontario, the New Democratic Party, Ontario Secondary School Teachers Federation, PFLAG, EGALE Canada, the International Brotherhood of Electricians. Also can't forget that Antifa is involved in the organization of this, who is a group that is labeled a domestic terrorist organization in other countries, as well as the Liberal Party and the Liberal-funded anti-hate network. A lot of people would say, why the union? Why the union? I'll tell you why the union. Because the union can be bought and paid for from the top all the way down to the bottom. And guess what? When you can't control the people, you need to find ways to control them. You can't control this narrative as it's very apparent what the people want. An overwhelming majority of parents cannot stand what's going on right now. But what will they do? They will make people afraid to show up to these protests. They will make people think they're going to get fired by saying things like they did in the meeting where they suggest they're going to videotape everyone's license plates. So people will be worried to show up because they won't want to deal with the consequences or losing their job. It's a time to stand up right now.
He's not wrong. That's an intimidation tactic, and it's one that has been used before. And again, I say, I don't think they would be above doing something like this, framing somebody, saying, oh, we're pretty sure it was that Mark guy who did it, right? To ensure that leaders of this get taken down, right? To be clear, I did not sticker any union offices at all. Mike Ramsey, who's a trustee for the Waterloo region, he issued a joint statement about all of this, and he says, we're saddened that the boards of education are guessing as to what may happen at tomorrow's Million March for Children national call to action. Maybe they should wait and see. The administrative staff of boards should not be taking stances on political issues that are best left to elected officials. Boards should not be accusatory because everyone has a right to engage in peaceful protest. We should keep in mind that policy differences are not an indication of disrespect. While we are guessing and speculating, how do we know that opponents of the march will not embed themselves or their own agents to make outrageous statements in order to discredit the march and try to distract from the real message that parents are seeking to deliver? We support everyone's charter rights to make their views known peacefully in the public square. Right. And I think that is exactly the way you should do it, right? If you want to come out and protest, be sensible and responsible. Protest in a way that will convey your message, right? And all of these people saying, there may be bad actors who are showing up specifically to undermine the protest. There 100% will be. That is going to happen. And the bad actors are going to do things. They're not going to show up and say, well, some of them are going to show up dressed as Trump supporters or dressed as Polyev supporters in Canada, right? The equivalent, and say things that are stupid and sound like they're aligned with, the freedom movement or whatever it is. But they'll say things purposely that are over the line in order to discredit the movement, right? And they won't say, oh, don't worry, I'm an actor or anything like that. They won't. They'll say, I'm honestly, I believe that. That's part of, why I joined you guys, because we're freedom fighters, right? Freedom fighters. And so there are going to be people who do that. During the Freedom Convoy, as I've said before, there were F. Trudeau flags, there were upside down Canada flags. There was the Confederate flag, and the whole media said, yeah, these people are intolerant because of the Confederate flag, not because of any of the other ones. And so I'm glad that people are talking about everybody has a right to express themselves in the public square in the way they see fit, so long as they're not infringing on you, and infringing on you being like not allowing you to express yourself in the public square or anything to that effect, right? And the thing is, all of these people, all of the examples that I showed you are trying to infringe on you, are trying to stop you from being able to speak. Here's another example. The Surrey Teachers Association just branded all parents, people of faith, and concerned citizens participating in the Million Man March as members of a hate group. They're pressuring their teachers to cloak themselves in pride too. So that's not great, right? Wednesday, September 20th, hate groups across Canada, totally reimagined now, right? It has been put through the grinder of mental gymnastics, right? And it went in as a protest against gender ideology being taught in schools. And it's come out as hate groups across Canada are protesting SOGI curriculum, right? That's according to these internal school emails, the Surrey Teachers Association. Maybe not internal school, internal teacher emails. SOGI curriculum, as well as the broader alphabet soup community. One such protest will take place outside the STA office where Minister of Education is located. The STA is aware of the counter-protest being organized by community partners. The counter-protest is scheduled to take place during school hours, thereby limiting the member participation. However, we are calling on all STA members to wear pride-related clothing or buttons as an act of solidarity for our trans and non-gender conforming colleagues, students, and community members. Our colleagues who are affected by the rising anti-trans rhetoric and actions, please know that your union is here for you. We will be publishing a joint statement with DPAC and CUPE. If you're experiencing discrimination in the workplace and need support accessing mental health resources, please contact the STA office. So I think that it is very, very interesting what is going on with regards to all of these people losing their mind. And just in case you're not sure what we're protesting against, Chanel Fall has helpfully put together an alphabet of exhibits and just highlighting exactly what they're promoting in schools. She says, display at an elementary school in Newmarket. Nobody is indoctrinating your kids. Exhibit N, right, about this board. And it's a rainbow board, and on it are transgender, gender identity, stereotype, gender binary, ally, alphabet soup, gender expression, gender, 2S, two-spirited, queer, heterosexual, cisgender. Here's another one. They've got all the flags. This is hung up in a hallway in an Oshawa elementary school. Here's another one. There's, it says privilege, fair, dominant culture, power. This book is anti-racist. This is published in a school. And here's the genderbread person, right, which is talking about gender expression. The wheel of power. This is in Ottawa High School, grade 7-8. So these are the things that they're teaching kids. It's indoctrination, and they do not want parents stopping this at all. So that's interesting to me, don't you think? Hello, everyone. Thanks very much for watching. This is just a short version of a longer show. If you'd like to get the whole show, you can go over to CanadaPoly.com and sign up for a subscription. Just look in the drop-down tab for Shop and Donate and look for subscriptions, and you'll get immediate access to the full show. Love to see you. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful